I find myself very concerned with the water crisis in Africa and specifically in South Africa. And I also find it interesting how they are fighting so hard for reparations as well. So I am doing more videos about that. I would like to do more videos about that. And I have this one article from VOA News that I just saw. I hope that it brings more attention to this crisis. And I hope it brings more attention and more action from all of us to help them. So the article comes from the Africa section of VOA News. It says Cape Town water crisis highlights deep running inequality. Like we didn't already know that. But they have a video here. I'm going to see if I can play the video. Let me see. Turn my sound up. Let's see. Go play.
For Velakazi Rangana, water has always been precious.
Even when I was born, this is the way we used to bath.
She has never had a shower, let alone a washing machine or dishwasher, at her home in the sprawling Khayelitsha township. The average township resident has for years used just 50 liters of water a day, the latest target set by the city to avert day zero. Rangana says she has little sympathy for wealthier residents who struggle to meet that.
It's been not sitting right because in a long time they were the ones who used the water. We are the ones who were not wasting the water. But now it doesn't matter. Now if we were looking after water, now it's all of us. We are in the same, like.
Give it a minute. I think it's trying to buffer itself. Let's see. Yeah, I think it's trying to buffer. Let's see if it will keep playing. Let me pause it for a moment. But already I can tell this is a very interesting story just from this one lady who's dealing with the oppression and the separation of the socioeconomics in South Africa. And if you go and watch Tariq Nasheed's video where he talks about, I think the title was The Real South Africa, where he talked about people living in these shanty towns that they call townships there. He also talked about that similarly when he went to Australia. So I'm going to see if this will play. If not, then I'll just keep going with the article.
Like now they are in our shoes.
Neighbor Tombikaisa Dondi says the drought and water restrictions have hit her hard.
This garden makes me cry because I used to feed my family with this garden.
Cape Town relies on 3 rain-fed dams for all of its water. 3 dry years have depleted them. But University of Cape Town hydrologist Peter Wolski says the last drought at the turn of the 21st century forced the city to become water-wise.
The water demand is very strongly related to population growth. And the population of Cape Town has grown, from what I've read, by 30% since 2000 till now. Yet the water demand hasn't grown. So that campaign of reduction of leaks and the demand management has compensated for increasing demand that would be, it would result from the increasing population.
But in Cape Town's more affluent areas, residents are worried. At several...
Okay, it's pausing again. Let me just pause it.
Sites in the city, residents can fill it for free at local springs.
We always used to just took water for granted. Now we know what it is. to struggle.
She says she has had to make adjustments.
Shower less, sharing the shower with the husband, and
Here in Khayelitsha, where many residents have long relied on public taps, the parallels to the unfair apartheid regime are hard to ignore, says local activist and volunteer Mpumi Halisi.
The upcoming struggle now will not be a struggle for freedom, but be a struggle for water.
That is a message that haunts many Cape Townians as they await day zero and an uncertain future. Anita Powell, VOA News, Cape Town.
Another thing I noticed is that when they put people on here, when they discuss this water crisis, as they move closer and closer to day zero, meaning that there will come a day where there will be no water, municipal water in the water table to supply the residents of Cape Town, of South Africa in general, but specifically Cape Town. I think based on the, like he said, the increase in population. I notice when they speak with those people who have the option to leave South Africa, those who are white, who are classified as white, those who are classified as European born or come from elsewhere in Asia, they smile, they laugh about this. Like the lady just now that they showed, she's not from there. She sounds like she could be Irish or Italian or something, I don't know. But she probably classifies herself as white. And she's smiling, you know, laughing about, oh, I have to take a shower with my husband. This is not a funny situation. You have to have there are a few things that human beings require in order to survive. Food, water, shelter. And if you want to put medicine in there, okay, medicine. But if you eat the right way, eat naturally, eat clean, then your food is your medicine. Should be your medicine, right? So you really only need food, water, and shelter, you know, and air, of course. Air, food, water, shelter. Water being the basis of all of those things, right? If you don't have water, you don't have air. You don't have clean air. You don't have clean water due to the evaporation and condensation. That system that works at the sea level. If you don't have water, you don't have plants to eat. You don't have food to give the animals to eat. If you're eating animals, you don't have water to give the animals. You don't have water to give the plants and animals that the people would eat, that they would need to build the structures that you call a house. So all these things work together. The basis of life, in a way, is water, H2O. Air and water. Air being a component. If you want to say oxygen, okay, that being a component of water. But I noticed that they show that from time to time, where the darker skinned people are suffering, and you can tell they are suffering, and they are anticipating this threat of not having water, whereas those that are classified as white, that have the option to leave, that have the option to buy as much property as they want, once those who are not able to survive with no water and no money die off, they could take their land and still smile about it. I find that extremely disgusting. So let me go further. There's a lot of commentary I could have on that, but I'll go further. This article continues, South Africa's seaside city of Cape Town is mired in a 3-year drought and is poised to become the world's first major city to run out of water. The city will shut off municipal taps on day zero, which is projected to be July 9th. Now that date keeps changing. I've heard April 22nd. I've heard May 15th. I've heard May 20th. I've heard a lot of different dates. But I think this is the latest date, July 9th. So we'll go with that for now. It says, but for many residents of the city's sprawling, low-income townships, water has always been a rare commodity. Cape Town resident Welekasi Rangana says she's struggling to understand how some residents of this seaside town are chafing under tight new water restrictions. And this is the woman in the beginning who had the small garden. She said ever since she can remember, she has treated water as a precious resource and not by choice. She has never, in her 53 years, taken a shower. That's because her government provided home in the impoverished Kayalitsha Township does not have an indoor bathroom, much less a dishwasher or washing machine. And it goes on basically saying exactly what they said in the video. If you want to go and read that, please do so. I'm just going to go to her quote. It's been not sitting right because for a long time they were the ones who used the water and we are the ones who were not wasting the water, she told VOA. But now it doesn't matter. Now, if we were looking after water, now it's all of us. We are all in the same. Like, now they are in our shoes, she said. And then they went on. This was another person, no water, no income, where she said, her neighbor, the other previous woman's neighbor, I'm going to try to pronounce this, in Toby Kaisi Dondi, says the drought and water restrictions have hit her hard. She used to have a flourishing home garden. Now she's down to 3 wilted lines of spinach and some sad-looking cauliflower. And she said in the video, this garden makes me cry because I used to feed my family with this garden. She said, surveying the brown wilted plants. Then they talked to the scientists, as you know in the video. These people are going to collect water from a spring in the Newlands suburbs as fear over the city's water crisis grow in Cape Town, South Africa, and that was January 25th. And another thing they haven't mentioned, which I'm sure they will mention in other subsequent videos and articles, the danger of retrieving water from the springs. There's also a high propensity for contamination, bacterial infection, cholera, dysentery, because animals defecate and urinate in the water, and some people who are poor, who don't have the resources such as running water, or a toilet, or a bathroom that's enclosed, they empty their waste into these springs. And I don't know if these springs that they're going to are necessarily government regulated or city regulated. So that you pose a threat to yourself as well. Even if you boil the water, the cysts, viral particles, bacterial particles, spores that are in the water could actually contaminate your body. And sometimes these contaminants can lay dormant in your body. So when you're desperate at this point, you can tell that these people are desperate because they're going to a spring, not a hot spring. And even hot springs contain certain bacteria that are thermogenic, meaning that they can survive very high temperatures. But standard bacteria, standard illnesses that are waterborne, schistosomiasis, diphtheria, the list goes on and on. So they're putting themselves at risk, showing that they are in dire straits when it comes to the water resources. And then they talk about, this is the lady that was laughing. Where is her name? Jean Gordon. So she's a 70-year-old Cape Town resident. And that I didn't like the fact that she was laughing about this. This is not a laughing matter. She can laugh because she can probably believe, like I said. But I don't want to go further with this. It's a very sad story. I hope that people recognize this and reach out to try to help them and try to get in touch with people who could be of assistance to these people. I give great respect to Tariq Nasheed. He just came back recently from a trip to Zimbabwe and to UAE, United Arab Emirates. And he also went to South Africa, as I stated earlier. But he was able to help female farmers in Zimbabwe. I think he gave them a check for a couple $1,000s. It may not seem like much to us, but it is a lot to them. That $2,000 seems like 20,000 to them, or even more. So reach out to some of the resources. I think they have them listed on the websites, and let's try to be more proactive about helping those who are there, or try to just see what it is that could be done on a small scale or a large scale. I hope that this was an informative video, and I know sometimes I joke about things, but this is a serious matter, and I hope that you got some information out of it. Let me know what you think in the comments, and I'll talk to you all later.